So how do you create a brand that truly represents who you are and the products you sell, as well as building a business that you can scale online? That is what this podcast will help you do. My name is Henry Kaminski Jr., and welcome to the Brand Doctor Podcast.
Let me just make this statement loud and clear. Jersey's here, Jersey's here.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another Brand Doctor Podcast episode. It is your host, Henry Kaminski Jr. from uniquedesignz.net. And today's guest, my friends, has two amazing books out there that I have been diving into multiple times over the past couple of months that I had to have him on the show. Phenomenal insights, just tremendous value, straight to the point, no BS, no fluff. And those are the types of books that I love. The names of the books, one is called Hook Point and one is called A Million Followers. And without further ado, I want to introduce my man, Brandon Kane, to the show. What's shaking, my dude?
That's great to connect with you, Henry, and everybody that's watching or listening to this.
Man, I am pumped to have you on because I got to tell you, the title of the book, you know, A Million Followers is very enticing and it's very catchy. And then the other book, Hook Point, talks all about hooks and how to capture your audience and how to create the right social media content that resonates and connects and stops people from scrolling. So before we get started, I just want to give my audience a quick backstory, and I'm going to allow you to do it. Quick little backstory of how you started, right? And how you got to become an author and then get into this space.
Yeah, so I've been in this space for quite some time. It goes back to probably 2004. So I initially went to film school because I wanted to produce movies and learn the business side of film, and quickly realized they don't teach you much about business in film school. So I figured the best way to really learn about business is to start your own. So while I was going to college, I created a few internet companies really just to learn and experiment. And then when I moved to LA back in 2005, it was when the entertainment industry started to reawaken to digital after the dot-com bust. And as you know, I point out in the Hook Point book, is I'm always looking for unique ways to stand out in ultra competitive markets. And the film industry is definitely one of those, especially as you're starting out making coffee and copies and deliveries. You had to find a way to stand out. And I just saw that saying I wanted to be a film producer wasn't cutting it. So I had to take a step back and really analyze and listen to what the biggest pain point was of the studio executives, the directors, the producers. And that pain point was that they invest tens of millions, in some cases, hundreds of millions of dollars into these pieces of content in the form of movies or television shows. And they needed a way to generate awareness to the level of reaching hundreds of millions of people around the world in a very short period of time to have any chance of breaking even, let alone generating a profit. So that's where I used a hook point, in that I had formed these internet companies while I was going to college, and I had a strong understanding of how digital and social, as it was coming on the scene, works, and helped them started developing strategies to really tap into that potential.
I love it. In your book, A Million Followers, you talk about having the mindset of having 1 million followers. And I want you, that really hit me today because, you know, as I continue to evolve my business, you know, there's times where I just want to throw in the towel and be like, I'm done. I suck at this. What am I doing?
I hear you. I'm the same way, man. I think that's a true sign of success, though. Is because if you're not feeling that, then you're probably an egomaniac or a narcissist. And that's the real testament, at least from my perspective, of a true entrepreneur. The people that face that feeling, face that inner voice, and keep going. Because I'm the same way. I doubt myself every day, and just some days you just want to give up. But that's the true testament of the people that are successful versus not.
I agree. And it creates that tremendous amount of grit in it. And I always think when I get into those funks, I'm always like, long-term, man, long-term. And you talk about that, you got to look at the long game. It's not something that's going to come. And listen, if it was easy for everybody to do, right, everybody would be doing it. So it's a matter of just trial and error, getting kicked in the face, get back up, get kicked in the face, get backed up. But, I'd be honest with you, reading that passage, that chapter today really helped, rewired me. Because last night I was falling asleep, and I seen you on Clubhouse the other day, and everybody's talking about $1 million this and $1 million that and 15-figure company this, and and it's like I have no choice but to start comparing to myself, I'm like, I thought I was doing good, and now I'm compared to this, I feel like I know nothing, right? So, I want to just share with the audience, stop comparing your chapter 1 to somebody else's chapter 15. But like Brendan and I we both go through it, and I would say we're deep into the entrepreneur game at this point. We're not spring chickens anymore. So the fact that we're still here says a lot, So right after this quick message, Brendan, I want to get into some of the nuts and bolts of how you created such a strong following, such an engaged following, and some of the common mistakes that a lot of content creators are making that are inhibiting their growth. So we'll get into that right after this quick message. If you're a business owner who feels your branding isn't truly representing the value that you deliver, check out this free video training that will help you level up your brand's messaging and online presence so that you can start attracting higher quality clients. Visit www.uniquedesignz with a Z at the end, not an S, .net/level up my branding. All right, so let's dive into this, Brendan. Talk to us about a hook point. What exactly is a hook point in your words?
Well, the first place to start is to understand the world that we live in today. And that's a world where there's over 60 billion messages sent out on digital platforms each day. So what that means is the world that we live in today is that you're not competing against your direct competition. You're competing against every piece of content for that attention. So like it or not, you're competing against the Netflixes of the world, the Kim Kardashians, the LeBron James, the ESPNs. So that makes it a very noisy and oversaturated market. So a hook point is designed to grab attention, is to get people to stop, whether it's online, on social platforms, offline, it doesn't matter. And there's really 3 core pillars to a successful hook point. Number 1, do you earn the attention? Do you grab it? And we talk a lot about pattern interruption as identifying the patterns of what everybody else is doing so that you can disrupt it and stop the scroll, earn the click, get the email to open or the LinkedIn message, get somebody to take the meeting. Which then plays into the second core pillar is once you've grabbed their attention, now you have to hold their attention. It's the story you tell, because we're not talking about clickbait here or any of that stuff. You have to grab the attention and then hold the attention. And you hold that with the story that you tell, which plays into the third core pillar, which is, do people believe what you're saying? Do they believe your hook? Do they believe your story? And all 3 have to play together, because if you don't generate the pattern interruption, you don't grab the attention, then you never get to the story. If you grab their attention, but your story is not any good, you lose that attention. If you grab the attention, your story's good, but people don't believe it, then it falls apart. So that's a hook point in a very high level.
Love it. I love it. So when you're working with clients and you're taking over their content, or you're helping them build their content strategy and direction, what are some of the things that you see that you're just hitting your palm against your forehead going, no wonder why you're having the issues that you're having on social?
Well, the one of the biggest challenges most people face and fail at is they're jumping the first core pillar. They're not paying attention to, how do I first grab attention? How do I generate that pattern interruption? How do I stop the scroll? How do I earn the click? How do I earn the open to get into the story? Is they're operating as if it was 15, 20 years ago, where there was less competition, less noise, and they're just diving straight into their offer, their product, or their content, when they haven't even earned that right. So it's really winning and earning the right to the second part of the conversation. So that's the biggest mistake that I see people make. In addition to the fact is most people are designing their content or creating content blindly. They're not really stopping and analyzing. And, in the book that you've seen is like, we have this process of hypothesis, test, and pivot. Mm-hmm. Set the hypothesis of what you think this piece of content is going to achieve, why you think it's going to achieve it. You test it and see if your hypothesis holds true, and you learn from it. And you take those learnings, you create a new hypothesis, you test, you pivot, and you do that over and over again. So I would say those are the two biggest mistakes that I see people making. And as I'm sure you heard, there's a lot of noise out there about frequency and posting as much content as possible. And I'm not saying you can't be successful with that strategy. You can. You look at Gary Vaynerchuk, for example, he's ultra successful, but his team is learning and he has a big team behind him that does it. For those people that just post 4 or 5 times a day, just to post for 4 or 5 times a day, and they don't learn, they don't improve, that's going to fall flat every time. And you could just keep training the algorithms over and over again that you're not a good content producer and you can't hold attention, and thus your content is going to get suppressed and you're never going to reach the masses with it.
So here's my question. Say someone has an Instagram account that has just been putting out terrible content. Their engagement has been down for a while, like let's say months, maybe even years, right? Do they have to just shut that account down because they were putting out such bad content, or that Instagram just basically sandbagged them and start from scratch? Or is there a way to actually revive an account from poor engagement and poor content?
Yeah, there's definitely a way to revive it. I mean, you don't have to start from scratch, but it takes work to do that. And listen, you may have a great piece of content that on a account that has credibility and has trust in the algorithm that generates 10 million views, and maybe on your account it only generates 100,000. But as you keep building that trust, you're going to get more reach. I mean, this is where you see like content creators like a Jay Shetty or a Prince EA or a Goalcast or even Gary on Instagram. They have built up so much trust in the algorithms that they get that reach automatically with their content. It's like, even if you took like Prince EA, who wrote the foreword for the first book, his most viral video, and you uploaded it to an account that doesn't have that trust, it's not going to perform as well as pushing it through his. Mm-hmm. But, a quick answer to your question is yes, you can revive it. It does take, time and work, but it is possible.
Got it. Beautiful. Okay. So my next question is this. Well, actually, I want to highlight one of the things that you talk about in Hook Point, which as I've been testing it on my Instagram account and it works like a charm. It's something called Subverting
Expectations.
Subverting Expectations. I want you to dive into this because when I put this into practice, I saw immediate results, but I could see how it could get very contrarian very quickly if you don't execute this correctly. So guys, I'm telling you right now, what Brendan is about to say, I would highly advise that you take out some notes and jot this down, because this is some powerful stuff that I saw immediate results from.
Yeah. So going back to what we were talking about is the first core pillar of pattern interruption. You identify what the pattern is of the content that's being produced, and then you flip it on its head, or you disrupt that pattern. So for example, and I believe this example is in the book, is let's just say that we're launching a meditation app or a meditation retreat. Meditation's been around for thousands of years. You type meditation into Google, you're going to get billions of results. So most people, or the pattern, is going to say things like meditation is the key to stillness, or it's the key to contentment, or relieving anxiety or stress. So that's the pattern. So if we start our video with our meme card, or we start a headline with something along those lines, as people are scrolling up in their feed, they already know what the content is going to say. Even if you have a completely different perspective, again, people are making assessments of whether they're going to stop the scroll and pay attention in that first 1 to 3 seconds, maybe even quicker than that. So subverting expectations is one tool that we use to do this. Now, we're not saying to use it all the time. We use it sparingly, but it is a great example of a hook point. So how would we subvert expectations of something that there's billions of results on Google, been talked about thousands of years? So it may look something like having the meme card, which is like the burn-in headline at the top of the video saying, meditation is a scam. Now, again, we're not doing clickbait here, so that headline has to match the story. So the story, after we've got people to stop with that, may say something along the lines of, hey, have you ever felt like meditation just doesn't work for you? Like almost like it's a scam? Well, if that's you, I really feel your pain. Because when I first started meditating, I would listen to people telling me I had to sit down and clear my head. But every time I sat down, my mind would race and I couldn't calm myself down. So I just felt like it just didn't work. It just wasn't the right thing for me. Almost like, I don't know what these other people are talking about because meditation is probably a scam. Until one day I met a Zen Buddhist monk and he taught me these 3 key strategies of how to meditate. And the minute I heard these strategies and implementing, I went from somebody that didn't believe in meditation at all to somebody that has been able to meditate every single day for the past 10 years. So let's dive in and break down these 3 key strategies so that you can start meditating, even if you've been doing it for a longer period of time, at a deeper level.
It's powerful stuff. It's powerful stuff. But you notice there's a key part there. If you get that wrong, the whole thing goes to hell in a handbasket.
And that's where it's being authentic, it being the third core pillar of trust and believability is like, you're not tricking people. You're grabbing people's attention to share something powerful, share something of value to them. But if you're just tricking people to just generate the sale and there's no value there's no substance, then it falls flat.
Yeah. And if you do it a lot, then people are just going to get tired of you. So,
well, that's the whole point of hook points is like in breaking it down in the book is like we create a framework so that you're constantly evolving, you're constantly challenging, because if you don't, even if you reach the highest levels, ultimately you'll fall flat. Like one of the examples is Tom's shoes. They had one of the best hook points ever, the 1-for-1. Brilliant, absolutely brilliant. But the problem was it was so good that everybody started copying it. And when everybody started copying it, then it became a moot point and they didn't evolve. And that's where they're struggling today. And it's the same thing in social media, like meme cards, the burned in caption at the top. Everybody does it now. So you can't just do that and be successful. You've got to be constantly evolving as what are the texts that you use? How does it get the pattern interruption? How does it hold attention? All of those things.
This is great stuff. And this leads me right into my next question is, what is your agency? What's a big business objective that your agency is trying to accomplish in 2021?
It's helping people stand out. You see this in the dedication of both of my books. I truly believe that there's people who have the ability to transform the world in a positive way through their message, their content, their product or service. But regardless of whether it's a young startup or a billion-dollar corporation, they're all struggling with how to capture attention in this micro-attention world that we live in today. So that's where we really help people develop these hook points to achieve their business objectives. And that can be anything from like lead generation to follower growth, to closing multi-million-dollar business development deals, winning A-list celebrity clients, whatever it may be. We have this wealth of experience and knowledge that we can look at what somebody's real goals are, what their real challenges are, and then craft a strategy of how to stand out at the highest level to achieve them in a short period of time.
So who's your typical client?
I mean, we're working with people across the board. Like we still have entertainment clients. We're consulting for a few of the largest vitamin supplement companies in the world, nanotechnology, franchisees. We just did a gym franchisee. We've done yoga instructors, musicians. It doesn't really matter. We're consulting for one of the largest or the largest residential real estate company in the world. It's across the board. Like we actually love going into industries that we don't have a background and experience because it actually services the client at a higher level because it takes somebody like us to understand the consumer's perspective, somebody that may know nothing about the company, to make it stand out and go viral at the highest levels or grab attention at the highest levels.
That's a great point, Brendan. There's a lot of people that will hire somebody because they're the expert in this niche, right? And I say to them, okay, go hire them because they're doing everything. They're using the same strategies, the same tactics for all of their clients. So there's no outside perspective. There's no fresh eye on this. And that's why I love going into new markets too, because it's like, wouldn't you want somebody to come in with a clean eye, somebody who's outside of the industry, to give you that a real point of differentiation and give you the real deal? And so it's a great way. I love that approach. I love that approach. Are you still working with Brad Lee?
Yeah, we're doing some work with him.
Yeah, I reached out to him because I watched that episode with you and him, and then I messaged him. I said, "Did you hire him?"
Yeah, he did. He hired us, and I can't really reveal what we did for him, but it was a big mindset transformation for his business.
Well, let me tell you something, Brendan. I don't know if he's implementing it or not, but I believe that he is, because I see a different perspective of him. And I see him coming at us on Instagram in a very different, from a different angle. And I love it. I think it's whatever you tweaked, I think is working, because I'm seeing a different side of Brad, and I love it. I'm definitely resonating with it. And
yeah, and a lot of the work that we do is people come to us to develop hook points, and we do that, we deliver that. But what we're also doing is retraining the way that they think about themselves, their customers, and their competitors. Because oftentimes there needs to be a mindset shift and the way that they represent themselves to the world. And sometimes, like, we had a client where it was changing one word they were using.
Really?
And that one word transformed their business. Sometimes it's very subtle things. Like, we have a wealth of experience in psychology and human behavior, both from a conscious and a subconscious perspective. And we're using all of that to design the ways that our clients stand out, all the way down to the specific phrases and words that they use to get people to perform the actions that they want them to perform.
That's fantastic. That's what you've piqued my curiosity. I definitely want to have a conversation with you offline to see if there's some things that you could do for us. I mean, as far as who we want to serve, we have that dialed in, but I would love to get your perspective on how we could serve them at a higher level and really create that engaging content and create that message that's going to resonate with them even deeper. I think that's one of my core objectives for 2021, is to build deeper connections and relationships with my audience. I've done a decent job with building a following, but I wish I went deeper in the connection. You know what I mean? I think it's very easy to build up a bunch of followers, but to keep those followers engaged and actually wanting and willing and able to buy is a whole nother story, right?
Absolutely. I mean, we worked with these influencers that had 25 million followers, and they were launching a new line into a new product into retail. And they were smart enough to understand that just because you have a huge audience doesn't mean that A, they're in the mindset to buy, and B, that you can use the same method of communication and same content tactics to get them to buy. So we worked with them, to create strategies to contextualize their message, contextualize in their ads, so it came off still authentic, but also implementing strategies of how you distribute it in a way to ensure that it does convert. Because and I've seen this from people and working in the entertainment industry at the highest levels, is organic is awesome. Organic is amazing. Don't get me wrong, but there's a spike and then it drops off. And you need to have additional remarketing strategies and retargeting strategies and ad strategies and everything to make sure that you're generating enough frequency and, contextualizing your message in such a way that it does convert and it's long standing. And you see this as like, still in the movie industry, you have, The Rock, the most followed person on Instagram. The movie studios are still spending $100 to $150 million promoting that movie because they need that awareness. It's not just The Rock tweets once or creates one video or even a few videos and then everybody shows up at the box office.
Right.
It just doesn't work that way. The same thing with like LeBron James and Nike. LeBron James is the biggest athlete on the planet, but Nike still puts money behind those ads and that creative to generate the reaction. And that's where it's fascinating. Sometimes I get a lot of flack for talking about paid media when it pertains to growing audience or selling product. And in our books, as you've seen, we talk about organic and paid, but it's like, why do people like demonize paid? It's, it's one of the biggest driving factors for everything. And people will say, well, The Rock generated, I don't even know what he's at, 150, 200 million followers on Instagram. Oh, it's all done organically. No, it's not done organically because these movies spend $150 million each time to promote his brand. So it's just kind of fascinating.
I'll say something to that. I think people will poo-poo things that they haven't had any success with. Right. Yeah. And I think that I don't run a lot of paid traffic, right? Because I feel like I haven't connected with the right person to really help me get a well-rounded approach to the strategy, right? It's like I've hired managers in the past and they're button pushers. Like, I'm hiring you to tell me what needs to be done to get this right? Yep. I don't want to tell you what to do, right? That's why I'm hiring you. So I'm looking for that 360 strategy from the beginning to the end. And, I'll do whatever it takes, right? I'm one of those guys that like, show me what needs to be done and I will make it happen, right? And I think that's the key to having you have to have the right strategy, but you got to have the right implementation too. Anybody could set up ads now, right? And that's easy to do, but getting somebody to see the whole picture of the strategy and helping us put that together is something that I'm going to be focusing in on 2021 as well. So yeah, I agree. A lot of my stuff is organic. I've been successful with organic reach and, but yeah, if you want to get to that next level, like you said, you got to have all that stuff in place, the retargeting, the remarketing, the pixels, what happens first, second, and third in that remarketing strategy to make sure that you're hitting them from all angles, if you will. Right.
Yeah. And I'm really fascinated of the leveraging organic and paid off of each other and leveraging the principles, not just the content, but the principles of what makes something successful organically, what makes something successful paid driven. And we're doing that now a lot because paid has like been my focus for the past 3 years because I have a friend who's featured in the Hook Point book, built a huge company off of just paid traffic, and they're doing $1 million a day in revenue. But that's hard to pull off because the communication has to be spot on. The buying tactics have to be spot on. But we're really learning, especially on the pattern interruption side, we're playing around with some really interesting concepts when it comes to paid that also translates to organic that just drives that return on ad spend through the roof.
I love it. I want to be respectful of your time, and I got to go pick up my little guy from school. I want to where do you want to send people? Where can we send my audience to learn more about you and what you want them to grab? I really appreciate you coming on. I know you're a busy dude. So, I know this was like interview 311 of 2021 and it's January 15th. So I know you're a popular dude. So where can we send the audience?
I would recommend, even if like the 1 million follower book really calls to you, I would start with Hook Point because it sets the foundation for everything. And we talk about follower growth in it. If you go to book.hookpoint.com, you can get access to the physical book, ebook, audiobook, and a masterclass just for the shipping cost. You can still buy from Amazon and Audible and all those places as well. So go to book.hookpoint.com. If you're just like, hey, we just want to dive in and learn more about how you develop hook points, you can just go to hookpoint.com and there's more information there and you can book a call with our team. But those are the two primary spots I would start with.
Awesome. Well, I want to tell my audience that I bought the Audible of Hook Point, and I've also bought the Kindle. I'm not a big physical book guy, but I bought the Kindle as well because I need to copy and paste certain points, right, that are super powerful. So if I bought the Kindle and the Audible, the book's hot. So I highly recommend you go get Hook Point. And yes, 1 million followers. I was diving into that this morning and breaking into that, flipping through chapters and stuff. That's a great book too. But I found Hook Point to be just a really solid step-by-step. And I highly recommend you guys go check that out if you're going to get serious with your social media this year and you really want a strong ROI on it, because what Brendan says in these books I've been testing some of these things out and I've seen some immediate response right away. And I see a big difference. And so don't be surprised, guys, if I talk more about Brendan in future episodes, because he's helping us on the back end, creating some stuff for us. So I hope you got some value out of this, guys. You know, I try my best to get some great guests on the show that are way more intuitive with this stuff than I am. And so I just had to have Brendan on today to showcase some of the book. And again, I wanted to say thank you for giving me all that value in that book. And I wanted to get you some more eyeballs to your stuff. I think it's awesome. If you get the Audible book, guys, the way he structures the Audible and the way you sprinkle in examples and call to actions, I want people that are going to do audiobooks this year for themselves to pay attention to Brendan's framework of how he put that Audible together. That was the first thing I saw, Brendan. I was like, look at the way he's sprinkling in call to actions and look at the way he's showing examples. I thought it was brilliant. So great job. Great job.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
You got it. So we're going to wrap up, guys. I hope you got some value. Again, go follow Brendan Kane. You could find him on Instagram. You could find him on Clubhouse. He's all over the place. Just type in his name, Brendan J. Kane, and he will pop right up. I promise. So thanks again, Brendan, for coming. Appreciate you guys listening. If you got some value out of this, please share it. Please write a review. And I'll catch you on the next episode, guys. Take care.